Hi everybody, this is Jay Khan from Push, and this is a re-recording of last week's webinar. Unfortunately, there were some technical difficulties, so we weren't able to retrieve the original recording, but I'm re-recording it again for you today so that you can recap the information we covered, and feel free to share this with anybody else that you think it may be useful for. So for those of you who weren't on the original webinar, it was hosted by Chris from Boulder SEO Marketing, who works in partnership with Bubble Digital, and they are in partnership with Push, the agency that I work for. And Push Group is an agency based in the UK. We have been in business for 12 years, and I've been with Push for the last 9 years. So the experience I speak to you with today is 4 years as an account manager, working directly with businesses, working on platforms like Google Ads and Facebook on a day-to-day basis, analyzing, understanding the insights I get from the data, and using that to help businesses get more leads and more sales. The last 5 years of my career, I've been working as the head of new business. So on a day-to-day basis, there's two things that I do. One is help businesses who have not used any digital marketing before develop their strategies and understand the best channels, the best ways to reach their audiences. And the second thing I do is audit activity. So if you have a digital marketing campaign running on a platform like Google or Facebook, I would go in and analyze that activity and look for opportunities to help improve performance. So I've probably done thousands of these audits in the last 5 years. And so there's a lot of insights I have into the common mistakes that businesses make, which I hope to share with you today. And this presentation originally was just meant to be around Google Ads, but things have changed. And what we decided to do was give businesses a range of different platforms, information on all of them, because we think it's useful for businesses right now. The COVID-19 crisis has really changed everything for everybody. And what we do know is that businesses that can adapt to move online quickly are going to be the winners here. So there are businesses that have physical locations and there isn't really much they can do online except for engage with their audiences. There are businesses that have relied heavily on retail and they have websites but have never really utilized them and never really sent traffic to them before. So this presentation will help both businesses that have never done anything with digital, but also businesses that are using digital marketing, but are looking for ways to progress that. And at the end of the presentation, we'll cover some strategies of how you can be adapting your digital marketing right now to the COVID-19 crisis. Now, what we see currently in the market is that Google, Facebook, Instagram, and Amazon have had huge surges of traffic, and internet usage is up 50% across all of Europe. And we have a 32% increase in shopping across all markets as well. Now, Amazon in particular, they actually slashed their spend from Google. So usually they advertise on that platform. They've cut their spend dramatically because they cannot cope with the current demand. They have so many people visiting their website organically, and they initially announced they were employing 100,000 people, and now they're hiring another 75,000 to cope with the demand they have. They've also started to loosen the restrictions on non-essential goods to help more businesses take advantage of their platform as well. So the situation for businesses right now, on platforms like Google and Facebook, you have a lot of businesses that are unable to advertise. They can't offer a service or a product. You have businesses that are scared to advertise. They're uncertain about the future. They're worried about putting money into these platforms. So they've pulled their marketing budgets. And on these platforms, the bidding systems work on a pay-per-click basis, and it's a live auction. So with less competition comes lower cost per clicks at a time when you have more people online than ever. So if you were thinking about starting digital marketing, now is one of the best times that you could ever do that. And we know from experience, we've seen it over the years with tons of different businesses that were big names that just did not adapt to online quickly enough. And it's because larger organizations tend to move quite slow in certain areas, and technology is one of those. The rate that technology changes, businesses cannot keep up. Even as a digital marketing agency, we have to have training every single week in order to keep ahead of everything that is coming out in our industry. Now, over the course of my career, I met with many digital marketing managers and also traditional marketing managers. And I always found it very interesting that traditional marketing managers often would look at online as an alien world, but actually it really does follow the same basic principles of marketing as traditional. And this is a model that's been around since the 19th century, the AIDA model, where it's all about creating awareness, getting people interested, getting them to desire your product or service, and nurturing them to a point where they take action. And you can do that exact thing that you would do in traditional marketing. You can apply all of that to digital. And what we see is that companies who do apply this model to digital, who consider the whole funnel of a user journey, they see a 450% increase in qualified prospects. They get 50% more sales at a 33% lower cost. So for businesses that have never done digital before and don't know where you should begin, here's some advice for you. And for businesses that are doing digital right now, but maybe only through one platform, it's definitely time to consider looking at other channels as well. So first of all, people will ask, should I do Google or should I do Facebook? Or should I be doing Microsoft ads? Well, Google dominates the global search engine market share, but it does depend on what market you're targeting, because Google's not going to help you sell in China. A platform like Baidu will. And in the US, Bing should definitely be a part of your strategy because it has a much larger market share there. And in terms of social networks, Facebook is still the biggest. And Facebook includes Instagram. So when you advertise on the Facebook platform, those adverts can be run across Instagram too. Now, the way that I look at the two platforms, what Google and Bing are best at is bringing people to your business. People that are going onto their platforms and searching online, you can have your advert appear in front of them straight away. And depending on what they're typing, you can get a sense of their intent. So I could be looking for information, I could be looking for a review, or I could be looking to say that I am going to buy, or I need these services near me or locally or right now. Facebook and Instagram, however, they're bringing your business to people. You're online, you're liking your friends and families and celebrities' photos and looking at different videos on these platforms, and ads are popping up while you're browsing. They're interrupting your experience. So it's about making people aware. So often when you're considering which platform should I be on, if you have something which you know people are going to be looking for and will be searching for, and they have a need right now for it, then Google and Bing is definitely one to consider. If you need to make people aware of what you have to offer, maybe because it's new to the market, or maybe the market is very competitive and you've got some great unique selling points you want to get across, that's where platforms like Facebook and Instagram can really help your business. Now, in my opinion, Facebook is better suited if you're trying to build the entire funnel. And that's because when you run campaigns on Facebook, you can literally set objectives. So you can tell the platform, I want to have a campaign to create awareness, and then I want to have a campaign to create engagement or get video views. And at the very bottom of the funnel, you have campaigns which are focused on driving direct conversions. And by conversions, this could be a phone call, someone filling out a contact form, or someone making a purchase on your site. What we do know is that businesses, when they use 3 or more channels, have higher purchase and engagement rates than those who use just a single channel. So even if you do use Facebook to build your entire marketing funnel, that doesn't mean you shouldn't be advertising on Google and Microsoft ads as well. Now, Google does have different campaign options, and I'm focusing more on the search and shopping aspects today, and a bit of remarketing as well. The reason for that is right now I assume most businesses are looking for answers of how to get more leads and sales right now. Now, Google search and Google shopping, those are based on keyword searches. So people type something on the platform and they see your ad, and that allows them to engage with your website straight away. The other channels, so Google Display, this is when you browse a website, you'll notice there's adverts all over different types of websites, and millions of those websites belong to Google's display network. So these websites have told Google, you can show adverts on my site, and if someone clicks on them, I get some revenue. Now, the difference between a Facebook campaign and a Google Display campaign Yes, they're both targeting you while you're browsing, but the reason I believe Facebook often works better is it just has so much data and understands people better. Google understands intent, it understands our search behavior, but I believe Facebook has a fuller picture of who we are and what we like than Google does. Native ads is a newer type of ad format, and it's sponsored articles. So if you go onto different news and sports websites, you often see these ads at the bottom underneath all of the general news articles. And the native ads, sometimes they can have clickbait kind of headlines. That's actually what works best. And the reason I'm not going to talk about these today is because you need high levels of budget to really make them work, and they're very hit and miss. And the best way to run a native ad is not targeted. It's to appear across as many sites as you can to create awareness. And it can work, but it doesn't always. And there's no consistent approach that we've seen a winning formula for every type of business. So I'll focus more on search and shopping today. As for YouTube, great channel for awareness, very cheap cost per clicks. But again, what I see from YouTube in my experience is that we don't often see direct conversions that you can track from running a video campaign. And actually, Google had a stat a few years ago. It was 56% of SMEs turn off their YouTube marketing because they're expecting direct sales through the channel, and that's not what it's for. It's about awareness. It's about brand uplift. So remarketing is something that we'll talk about. That's reappearing to people after they have visited your site. So just to clarify the difference actually between Google display and remarketing, because people get them confused. If I've never been to your website before and I'm browsing on a particular website and I see your advert, that will be a display advert. If I have been to your site before and I'm browsing a website and I'm seeing your banners, that would be a remarketing advert. So Google Microsoft Ads, which is the Bing, is the platform you run Bing campaigns from, and Amazon are great for reaching the low-hanging fruit, the people who are searching for you and who are showing high intent to engage. You get to pick which keywords you want to appear for, and you're trying to capture traffic which is going to take action right away. What you need to know, however, is your numbers in order to make the right decision. So let's just talk through those numbers for both lead gen and e-commerce businesses. So each of these platforms has a different cost per click. On Google, you're paying a different cost per click for every single keyword. And the final cost per click that you pay, it's determined by Google's algorithm. So there's a number of different factors. They look at how well keywords match up to adverts and to the website pages. They look at the mobile speed of your page, the landing page experience, how many people click your ads over your competitors' ads, and they combine all of that with your bid for how much you're prepared to pay per keyword. It all goes into an auction and goes up against every other competitor out there, and it's live. So the cost per click for every single keyword is different every time as well. So you get given an average cost per click for each campaign that you run. Now there's only so low you can get the average cost per click. So what you're able to work out on a platform like Google, if you're a lead gen business, you can tell from Google, well, based on my keyword research as a tool, the keyword planner, where you can research keywords and get an estimate of their cost per clicks, you can say, based on these estimated cost per clicks, I need to then spend this much money to get this many visitors to my website. And then what you have to ask yourself is what percentage of those visitors are likely to convert and take action. And the average conversion rate of a website is between 2 and 3%. What you are able to look at is there's loads of different websites which will have industry benchmark reports. So you can say, well, in my industry, what is the typical conversion rate I should be achieving? If you have Google Analytics on your website, you can actually track your conversions if you set up tracking for contact forms and for telephone calls. And using that data, you can determine how much is it going to cost to get traffic to my site, what percentage of that traffic is going to take action, and what will my cost per lead be. But you have to take that a step further. Of all the leads you get, what percentage of those leads do you expect to turn into customers? What are the value of those customers going to be? Is there a lifetime value attached, or is it just a one-off transaction that you have with them? And for e-commerce businesses, you need to consider something quite different. It's about what is the average order value and what is the margin made on that order. And again, is there a lifetime value? Do people come back and make repeat purchases? On Google, you have an easier time predicting the cost per click because Google's keyword planner will tell you what the estimated cost per clicks are. The conversion rate, it's really affected by two things: the quality of traffic you send to the site based on the keywords that you're picking and appearing for, and the website experience. Now with Facebook, you don't get to really estimate your cost per click in the same way. You just have to go by industry benchmark reports to get a feeling for what your cost per click might be. And again, with the conversion rate, if you have tracking set up, then you'll know what that is. Make sure when you are considering your conversion rate, because the mistake some businesses make is they say, well, my conversion rate is 10%. And that's because the only people going to their website are people that know about the brand already. Maybe they've bought from the brand in store and they're already loyal customers. So you have to consider what your conversion rate might be for completely new traffic that hasn't heard of you before. And I would definitely recommend reducing your conversion rate. If you're already tracking conversions and you've only got loyal customers coming to your website, definitely reduce that when you're making these projections. So once you've figured out which platform is likely to give you the best success, then it's about making sure that you follow best practices across all of the platforms to ensure that you get the best result. And the first thing that we need to talk about is the structure, how you set everything up. So on Google, Microsoft and Amazon, you need to separate things into keywords and products. Now, keywords and products need to be in different campaigns. And the reason for that is the campaign level is where you set your budget. If you have 100 different keywords in one campaign or 500 different products in one campaign, any one keyword or one product can dominate the campaign and it won't necessarily be the best performing. So if you really want to control things, you set up different campaigns so you have control over your budget. Then you also have on these platforms ad groups. Ad groups is where you can separate keywords further, and then that allows you to write adverts for each ad group. So you're trying to separate your keywords up so that you can write specific ads that relate to those keywords. So just for an example, let's say you're a solicitor. You will have a campaign for divorce, you might have a campaign for wills and probates, you might have a campaign for family law. And in that divorce campaign, you might have keywords for solicitor and keywords for lawyer separated, so that the advert can reflect the difference in the terms that people have used. Because people tend to click an advert when they see that keyword relevancy, when they see what they typed is matched in the advert. It helps improve that click-through rate. So this is why you need to separate your keywords and products into different campaigns. You don't want to, however, be too granular. You don't want one campaign per keyword. You want to be able to manage this. You also don't want to split up things too granularly that you're not getting enough data on performance. The other thing to bear in mind is, we'll talk about this a little bit later, but smart bidding and automated bidding by these platforms is something that is becoming essential for businesses. And the smart bidding works off that data. So if you separate your keywords too much, you're not giving the smart data bidding tools enough data to play with and to be able to optimize and get you the best results. Just to show you the impact a new structure can have. So this is an example of a charity organization that we worked with, and by implementing a new structure, they had a 67% increase in their conversions and a 71% increase in conversion value. So the way that you're controlling your budget and bids by creating this structure is incredibly important. And when it comes to how you're going to identify those keywords, you can use Google's keyword planner. So you can type in any keyword for a product or service that you want to target, and Google's keyword planner will tell you what the estimated cost per clicks are, all of the different variations, how many people search per month. And what you have to consider is how broad you want to go. So often what you'll find is the more specific words will convert better, but they'll be low in volume. So it's all about getting a balance. We recommend testing keywords, but when it comes to how many you choose, it really depends on how much you want to spend. What you don't want is a situation, let's just say you were testing a campaign and you only put a budget of £5 and you had 100 different words there. You're getting one click here, one click there, maybe one sale. It's not enough to tell you which keyword is definitively working the best against all other keywords. So you've got to have a reasonable size budget, and you have to choose the keyword that you want to go after based on that budget. There are different keyword match types. So that's another thing to consider when you set up the Google Ads campaign. A common mistake is people use the wrong ones, and sometimes people only use one match type. So let's just go through what they are. First of all, when you just type in a keyword with no plus signs or phrase marks or quotation marks, no brackets, that's called the broad match. What that indicates to Google is, this is my keyword, but you can show me for anything you think is relevant. So if I have the keyword TV shows, Google can show me for watch films online, record shows, and kids programs. That match type tends to be quite cheap, but it brings in a lot of wastage because Google's algorithm just brings in loads of stuff that's not relevant to your business, and we tend to avoid using it, to be honest. The times where it works the best are usually in situations where the keyword's quite niche, so it's not going to pick up loads of different things. Then you have the modified broad match, so you put a plus before each word that you're telling Google, I don't mind what other keywords appear in the search phrase, but it has to contain this word or these words in there in any order. Then you have the phrase match, which says it's these words in this order. You can have other words before or after. So the word comedy shows, you can have watch comedy shows, and you can appear for that term, as long as comedy shows is in that order and shows and comedy are not reversed. And then you have the exact match where you put square brackets, and that says to Google, I only want to appear for that word. I don't want to appear for other words in different orders. Now there is what's called close variants. So Google recently, in the last year, have changed their system so you can show up for some similar phrases, but it tends to not be too much of a problem. Now we tend to use the modified broad, the phrase, and the exact match, and the reason we use those three is because they each have a different cost per click. They each have a different conversion rate. Your competitors are bidding on them differently. So we use all three, and we simply test. If we can see a match type, a keyword works well in one match type and not in another, we can simply pause the match type that's not working. For those of you who are e-commerce businesses, Google Shopping is a bit different. You're not getting to choose your keywords. It's reading a product feed from your website. And that product feed's created usually automatically via Shopify and Magento. You can get your web developers to help you with that. And the product feed just contains all the information about your product. Google's algorithms read that and they decide what search terms you appear for. So it's really important when you run a Google Shopping campaign to pay attention to the search term report and have a look. What are people typing in to see my products? Anything that's not relevant, you can add it as a negative keyword so that you won't show up for it again. Another type of campaign you can run is a dynamic search ad campaign. And this works well for all types of businesses, but particularly e-commerce. This is reading your website content. So again, you don't control what keywords you appear for. Google's deciding it, but you can add negative keywords in as you see search terms coming through. And 8% of searches every single day on Google are brand new and haven't searched before. So you think you know the keywords people are going to type in, but be prepared that there will be new ones that you won't have considered. So it's definitely worth having DSA campaigns that you can test alongside the search campaigns too. With the DSA campaigns, the mistake people make, for those of you who already got them running, is they tend to target all the website pages. And what you should do with the DSA campaign is break down the website into different pages, into different categories. So again, you have control, because there might be a page on your website where the content from that page generates some great keywords and it leads to sales or conversions. If you want to get more and control that, you need to make sure the campaigns are separated so you can put more budget into it. Now on Facebook, it's not keyword driven. Facebook is all about audiences. So you should have campaigns for different objectives. So your awareness campaign, your traffic campaign, engagement campaign, conversion campaign, and in each of those you want to separate the different audiences out. And then you have different ad sets. So this is again where you can create different ad copies, tailoring the ads to each of the audiences that you want to target. So next, I mentioned earlier the table with the cost per clicks and the conversion rates. And actually, of all the things that we can do on these platforms, those are the only two things that matter. Every action we take, it influences that cost per click and it influences that conversion rate. And that's what determines what our final cost per lead or cost per sale is going to be. So bidding strategies are incredibly important to pay attention to. What I recommend is testing. Testing different bidding strategies is really important because they each perform differently and you want to get the best result for your business. So you've got to be able to try new things. Now, on Google and Microsoft, you have manual bidding strategies. So you can be in control of the bids yourself and you can bid by age, by gender, by location, time of day, day of the week, by device. And you should do that based on conversion data. So if you see more people buy from a mobile device than a desktop, increase your bids on mobile, be more aggressive there, and maybe reduce your bids on desktop. Using that data, that is how you should make decisions about how you control these bids. And just to show you some examples, so we have here adjusting bids by device for an insurance company. They had 140% more inquiries over a period of 3 months. Doing an hourly bidding strategy, so adjusting the bids by time of day for a rug cleaning company, help them bring down their cost per lead by 40%. So huge impacts this bidding has on your final cost per conversion. And then a care home customer, where we tested bid adjustments across a number of different factors, brought down their cost per acquisition by 59%. What's important when you are controlling the bids manually is not to lose sight of your bid adjustments. So as you can see there, if you're putting on bid adjustments for each of these different areas, it's going to add up. It's going to increase your final bid. And you've got to pay attention to your final bid to work out, at this bid, what conversion rate do I need to make my cost per lead or sale profitable for me still? You've got to work those numbers. Now, the future of marketing is really going to be about automation, and we've already seen that 79% of companies who've used marketing automation for 2+ years are the top performers in their industries. There's a number of different ways you can automate your marketing, so it's having automated email sequences, chatbots on your website, but there's a lot of automation you can do within Google Ads and Facebook to be efficient and to improve performance as well. And Google and Microsoft Ads have really ramped up their smart bidding strategies to completely take away the pain of bidding, because a lot of people find bidding quite difficult. And again, you're in a live auction, so you've got to keep paying attention to your bids. And you are now not just competing with competitors, digital marketing agencies or in-house teams that are changing their bids. You're now competing with Google's algorithm, which is taking into consideration thousands of signals every second to determine what the cost per click it's going to bid will be. Now, the types of strategies you can use on Google, I've seen the mistake made where people go for maximized clicks. Unless all you care about is brand awareness, I would never use maximized clicks. It's just about traffic. It's not about getting you a final result. Maximized clicks I would probably use if I was running a campaign where I was just trying to make sure for my brand as many people click on my website as possible. But I'd much rather run campaigns which are focused on delivering growth for a business. So maximize conversions. You can tell Google, I want to get as many conversions as possible. And if you're an e-commerce business, you should certainly put a value in there. So you can put maximize conversion by value, which will tell Google to go after the products that have the highest values and are generating the most money for you. The impression share, that's the percentage of the time you appear when people search for you. It's normally determined by budget, but it is also determined by your rank and how well the account's set up and how well it's performing. So again, I would say target impression share is great for branded campaigns. If you have other suppliers which sell your product, but you want to drive more sales direct through your website, target impression share, just make sure when everyone searches for your brand, you are always appearing there. Then there's target cost per acquisition. So you can tell Google, I only want to get leads or sales at a certain cost. You just have to be careful that can limit the volume, because this is Google trying to be strict with how it shows your ads and how it spends your money. So that can limit volume, but it can make very profitable campaigns for you as well. And the same with target return on ad spend too. On Facebook, most people just use the lowest cost bidding, and that sounds the most appealing and makes sense, but actually you should test things like target cost bidding. Bid and cost cap are more manual types of bidding. I tend to recommend lowest cost, target cost, but if you're an e-commerce business, you can do value optimization, where it's trying to get you the best value, and you can set a minimum return on ad spend if you don't want to go below a certain amount, or you can have the highest value option where there is no minimum. The main thing to consider is all of these different bidding strategies, you need time to run them, you need to collect data, and you need to test the performance and see which works and which doesn't. Now, Google and Facebook, their algorithms are all about showing people the most relevant information so that people click on the ads and they get revenue from it. Amazon's algorithm is a bit different. They just care about sales. So if you're set up on Amazon currently and you're trying to get more sales, I would 100% recommend looking at running paid ads to make sure you appear at the top of the page. If you start running paid ads and you start getting more sales because you're now at the top instead of on page 2 or 3, that helps lift your organic rankings, because Amazon sees this product is selling, so it starts to lift the organic positions up. And when a new product launches on Amazon, one of the quickest ways to help it get to the top of the results, there's a few things you can do. First of all, optimize the page properly. Make sure it's got relevant keywords. Make sure you're using up all those bullet points you're given, all the description space. Use it up, put as many keywords as possible in there. The second thing is reviews. Make sure when you first launch a new product, you get as many reviews as you can. Ask your friends and family to buy and support and help you out and leave you those reviews. And the third thing is the paid ads. So if Amazon sees that you're getting more sales, your organic position will get lifted. And some people use paid ads as just a short-term strategy to get them to the top, and then they'll stop running the paid ads. Bear in mind, when that does happen though, a competitor's going to be there trying to take your spot. So next, let's talk about the ways that you can target audiences. And this is what Facebook is particularly strong at. So first of all, if you have a database of customers, you can upload that database into Facebook, and it will identify their Facebook and Instagram profiles. So you can run ad campaigns specifically targeting them. So this is great if you want to let existing customers know about new services, new products, promotions and special offers. And with that existing database, it doesn't actually have to just be customers. It could be all of the people that have added to basket. If you're collecting that kind of data, or all of the people who have contacted you but didn't become a customer, perhaps they signed up with someone else. And if you're offering a service which is, for example, typically in the industry, you'll get, let's say it's IT support and people sign up for 12-month contracts, uploading that database of people that didn't go with you, they went with somebody. So perhaps keeping in touch with them on Facebook, showing them ads throughout the year, that's going to remind them of your brand when they're out of contract, or if they have a problem with their provider and they want to make a switch. Just an example of how we've used this in the past. So a honey customer, a customer selling honey online, email database of just 5,000 people, but they were able to improve their return ad spend by 42% just by going after existing customers. Then, one of the best types of campaigns you can run on Facebook is the lookalike audiences. So, as I mentioned earlier, Facebook has so much data and it really understands who people are. If you think about the kind of information we put in there, we are sharing with Facebook our age, our gender, people share their sexuality, people share who their family members are, people like different pages, people become part of different groups. Every single post that we like give Facebook an indication of what kind of things we're into. So it has a very sophisticated behavioral modeling tool which says, this is a list of people, show me people statistically similar to them based on all of this data that you have. And it's very good at doing that. And with lookalike audiences, you can create lots of different types. So you can upload a custom audience of your customers and tell Facebook, these are my customers, find people that are just like them and start showing them my adverts. You can, if you're running marketing campaigns on Facebook, take the people that have engaged or again purchased from those campaigns and find lookalikes of those people. With the lookalike campaigns, you can set different percentages, so from 1 to 10%, and 1% is the most statistically similar, and it goes right up to 10. So when we run campaigns on the platform, we start by targeting the most similar people, but then we'll try going broader and broader to see how broad can we go without the cost per lead or sale rising too high, because we're seeing less and less conversions from these audiences as we get broader over time. And then on Facebook, you can also target by interest too. So you can target people by their interest in different pages, in different topics. You can also target by demographic data, so age, gender, location. You can even target by job title and job industry as well. Example of using lookalike audiences. So this was for a B2B company. We increased leads by 1,076% and decreased the cost per lead by 48% over a period of 6 months, just by targeting people similar to their existing customers. And a B2C example for you. So this was a hair clinic where we ran lookalike audiences on all of the people that had converted and submitted a form on their website, and we were able to get we increased the leads by 142% by running a lookalike campaign targeting those people. Now with Google does have some options to target specific audiences. So Google has 2 types of audiences that you can target. The in-market audience. These are people whose behavior has changed online in the last 14 days, what they search for, the websites they visit, the videos they watch on YouTube. It's showing a pattern, and it shows that they are in the market for something. So it could be a mum who's showing that she's in the market for a new baby pram because she's been typing it on Google, going on different baby websites, watching reviews on YouTube and so on. And then you have affinity audiences. So this is a longer term audience. These are people that they're not necessarily in the market to buy something right now. This is a lifelong passion for them. So we could use the example of cars, say. There'll be a difference between someone who starts searching for car reviews and looking to buy a car and find the nearest dealership near me. And they will be different to people who look at cars all the time, who go on different websites, who consume hours of video content about all the latest cars that are coming out. Google is able to tell the difference between these 2 types of people, and we can engage with them on the platform and say, well, when they search for our keyword or when they browse the internet, we want to target them more heavily. Times to use in-market audiences for your bottom of the funnel campaigns. For affinity audiences, if you need to make people aware and need to reach the right audiences, this is where affinity audiences come in. So you might have a new makeup brand and you can target affinity audiences, people that show an interest in the beauty sector and beauty websites. Ad testing. So we've covered the different keywords you might target or different audiences you might target to get people to your website. But in order to get them to click, they need to see an advert. And all I can really advise and encourage is lots of testing with your ads. Different formats, different messages, different images. So this is an example of a franchise business that wanted to generate more leads. We have on the right hand side Google's expanded ad, which is just an ad where you write in the description and headline, that's what shows. On the left is a responsive ad, and the responsive ad is where you give Google different headlines, different descriptions, and you allow it to mix and match itself. Now testing the 2 types of ads against each other, and also changing the message and adding a minimum investment line, which some people might think would put people off if they see an investment like that. It actually increased the click-through rate by 381%, and it reduced the cost per lead by 28%. On Facebook, loads of different ad formats you can use. Video is one of the cheapest right now, but you have still images, carousel images where you can swipe along and see different ones, and you have more expansive ones like these collection ads. And this is one of the newest ad formats on Facebook that's working excellently for our customers. In this case, testing different messages, testing different ad formats, we increased the percentage of people clicking the ad from 0.92% to 4.8%, and we reduced the cost per click from 36 pence to 7 pence. With the click-through rates of ads, that does affect the cost per click you're going to pay, because Google and Facebook see it as these ads are really good, they're relevant, people like them, will make it cheaper for this advertiser to show those ads as a result. where I mentioned videos are cheaper. So this is just an example of the stories element that you can use on Facebook and Instagram. The thing with video right now is a lot of businesses feel they don't know how to do it and they're not going to do it well. I just encourage everyone, make your own videos, use your iPhones, use your Androids, whatever phone brand you have, get testimonial videos, show people what your business is doing during the day. You can make your own story ads. You don't need all of it to be professional. And these ads have lower cost per clicks right now and lower cost per impressions. The time will come when everyone has access to video and everyone is doing video, and you can guarantee those cost per impressions will increase over time. Now, you spend all of this time creating a marketing campaign to drive traffic to your website. And as we talked about earlier, the conversion rate is going to determine what percentage of people will take action and will call you or fill out a form or buy. Now, if the average conversion rate of a website is only 2 to 3%, 97% of traffic is doing nothing. And if you think about your own website behavior, every website you visit every single day, do you take action and buy or fill out a form on every single one? Or do you have a think about it? Or do you think I'll do that later and I'll come back to that? And this is where remarketing comes into play. This is about showing people banners after they have left your website. And there's a reason everyone's doing it to you, and it's because it works. It keeps the brand at the forefront of your mind. What you have to bear in mind is luxury brands get scared of using it sometimes. You can cap it. You can make sure you only appear for 1 week, twice a day. And you can test different caps to see the performance. But with remarketing, if you're not there, I guarantee you, your competitor will be. So 100%, anyone running any kind of digital marketing campaign to get traffic to their site should certainly have a remarketing campaign to recapture that traffic. It's pay per click. So if people see the banner and don't click on it, it doesn't cost you a thing. It's like having a free internet billboard, and you can run those campaigns on Google, the display network, YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, and so on. Remarketing typically has lower cost per clicks because you've already paid for this person to come to a site. It's going to be cheaper to bring them back. So that's another advantage of it. The mistakes people make with their remarketing, if you're doing it currently, make sure you're not just targeting all visitors. Some people just run campaigns and everyone that's been to my site, I'm going to show them banners. Well, if I spent 3 minutes on your website, I'm far more valuable than a person that spent 10 seconds and left. So you should be focusing on different metrics and different audiences. Just to give you examples of those different metrics. So you can target people who have spent a great deal of time on the site, who visited certain pages, people who abandoned their basket or went to a contact page. And two things to consider: different messages for different people and different audiences. And don't just bring them back to the exact same page they were at before. Maybe there's something new they want to see or need to see in order to get them over the line. And if we're talking about nurturing, engaging, remarketing is a big, big part of that. So finally, just some quick tips really about how you can be adapting your current digital strategy for the current climate. The first mistake I'm seeing is businesses trying to ignore the topic on everyone's mind. You don't have to be negative, you don't have to scare people, but there's no point acting like it's not happening. So a good example of that is I'm currently in our office in the MENA region out in Dubai. So I noticed, I was speaking to a money transfer business here, and I noticed on their Facebook page they'd recently posted an article about moving to the UAE, and the picture was of 3 women outside shopping. And this was right in the middle of the climate when people are locked down. So it just made no sense. It felt insensitive. Not surprisingly, it had no engagement, not a single like. It just wasn't relevant, but their view was they didn't want to talk about the crisis. It's just like, well, maybe you need to address it. And maybe that's what's going to engage with people better. The next thing is being open and transparent. So during this time, it's really good. People are more human than ever. When I have conversations with businesses, I can talk to them on a much different level. It's not straight to business. We're talking about how are you finding the lockdown? How is your health? What is it like having your kids running around while you're trying to run a company? We can have much more personal conversations with people, and we can do that through marketing as well. So be very open and transparent about what your business is going through. If your delivery times are increasing, let people know that. If your service is going to be impacted and be carried out in a different way, let people know that. And you can be open enough to even ask for support. So a great example of marketing I saw was a restaurant that obviously couldn't operate. So it emailed its customer database and gave away some of the recipes for their most popular dishes. And it asked them quite openly, it said, this is really going to affect our business. So we hope once this is over, all of you will support and come back and dine with us again. And it was a gesture of goodwill that brought, I guess, a lot of loyalty from the people that would have received that email. If you are trying to work with marketing, you really want to focus on positive messages. Now is not the time to be putting the fear factor into people. So I think get customers thinking about the future, get them thinking positive. So the holiday sector, for example, now I know people in the holiday industry, the travel sector, they're far too busy dealing with refunds and trying to keep their businesses afloat to think much about their marketing. But if I was working for a travel company, what I would be doing is saying, well, we're going to be traveling again one day, sometime in the future. So what if we ran a competition, for example, to say, look, as soon as flights are back on, one lucky family is going to be whisked away for a dream holiday. And throughout this time, what you're doing is you're building an email list of people who are going to enter your competition, who then, once the crisis is over, you can send them a special offer to all the people that didn't win the competition. But give people something to look forward to dream about and to aspire to. Another example of a business, it was a business that has escape rooms. So obviously nothing they can do. It's a physical location business. So my recommendation was, well, why don't you put out puzzles and brain teasers for people to do while they're stuck at home and bored? And then again, you're building up an audience of people who are going to engage with you. And then you can tell them, once this is over, we invite you and your families to come and enjoy our escape rooms. And it really is just about focusing on that positive element. Show concern for safety and support. Everyone handles this in a different way. You have people terrified to leave the house, and you have people who are acting like nothing's going on. So we're all in very different mental states. But with those people that are very concerned about their health and their family's health, make sure you are showing that you are concerned for them. So things like contactless delivery have come into play, showing how the things are protected and disinfected and so on. Just put their mind at rest if they are, especially if it's a physical product, that is going to be safe to receive it from you. And also showing how you look after your staff is really important as well, and the people that work for you, because it just shows that human side to you. And it's something that we need to do right now, is to connect with one another globally. Spreading positivity. So there's no reason why you can't just post things like have a fantastic day today, and just be positive about the situation, because it's all we can do to help our customers and to help one another. And what are some of the most popular things on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube? It's pictures of cute animals and dogs and funny videos. People like to smile, people like to laugh. So keeping people positive will not go amiss. And finally, get creative. You've got to think outside the box here if you want to survive, and adapt what you sell in terms of a service or a product in order to thrive in this industry. So a good example was I was speaking to a brand that sells false eyelashes, and what I recommended to them was, what you could have is women that are at home, usually if they would wear false eyelashes to go out, maybe you could encourage them to have date nights, to say, well, if you're at home and you have a husband or a boyfriend, doesn't mean you have to lose the romance during this time. You could have a date night, and you could get dressed up, and you could look and feel your best, and you could treat each other to a great meal. And that was a way around combating the need for lashes. They could still order things, they could still buy a nice dress, they could still buy lashes, still feel good about themselves. And actually, really interestingly, at the time I delivered this webinar last week, I hadn't seen this advert, but just today I saw an advert where Domino's Pizza have used that exact idea. So Domino's Pizza are telling everyone, have a stay-in date night and order pizza with your partner and share a pizza together. And one of the viral challenges actually, so there is a challenge in the UK on TikTok. It's called the Don't Rush Challenge, and it's basically women or men getting ready there's a song in the background called Don't Rush, and what happens is the male or the female comes onto camera and they're not looking glamorous, they're dressed in just their regular clothing, and then they'll put in a makeup brush into the camera, blurring it out, and then as they remove the makeup brush they're completely transformed and they look glamorous and they look smart. And actually this trend went viral and hit the BBC News in the UK because there were a group of nurses that had done this. So it was all these women showing themselves in their typical nurse's outfit after a hard day's work, and then they put the makeup brush into the camera, and then as they remove it, they're glamorous, they're dressed up. Now, if a makeup brand had thought of that and had jumped on that when it came out, they could have massively boosted their sales, because people are bored, people are at home, and people want to do things like this and have fun and do challenges. So yeah, it's really important to be creative during this time. Don't feel like there's nothing you can do with your marketing. There is still things you can do to engage with your customers. Thank you very much for your time. We'll send a copy of this webinar out, and if you have any questions, feel free to contact myself and Chris. Those are our details there. And you can also email us directly as well. Both of us will be copied into the email when we send this webinar out. Thanks very much for your time. Bye-bye.